Political decisions that shape our world.
First official trip to the continent since taking office. The visit aims to strengthen diplomatic ties and explore avenues for peace amid the ongoing conflict with Russia. During his stay, President Zelensky met with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa to discuss efforts toward an inclusive peace process. President Ramaphosa emphasized the importance of involving all parties in negotiations, reflecting South Africa's neutral stance in the conflict. However, the visit was abruptly cut short following a massive Russian missile and drone strike on Kyiv, which resulted in at least 9 fatalities and over 70 injuries. In response, President Zelensky announced he would return to Ukraine immediately after concluding his meeting with President Ramaphosa. The following report takes a look at developments in the Russia-Ukraine war. We'll bring you that report subsequently. Let's bring in global affairs analyst Kachon Onoju on the news at 3. Thanks for joining us on The World Now. Russia launched its deadliest attack on Kyiv in 9 months, and that has now forced Zelensky to cut short his historic visit to South Africa. Walk us through how significant this escalation is. Does it signal a shift in Russia's military strategy amid ongoing ceasefire talks?
No, I would say Russia simply wants to remind Ukraine and its leaders of its ability to strike at both Kiev and Kharkiv, and simply to tell them that the law that they have seen does not mean that Russia has forgotten what it can do if it wishes to. Yes, it can strike Kiev, it can strike Kharkov, and it can strike anywhere it chooses. It's just been measuredly calm and polite about the war, simply because it does not want to bring about unprecedented carnage and the suffering, according to Russia, on the whole of Ukraine. But it knows what it can do. It can do it if it wishes to. But I believe now that Ukraine does not seem to understand the reality that has befallen it vis-a-vis, that it cannot get Crimea back. And that's the reason why you have seen the break-off in this talk. The Americans do believe that there's no way Crimea can come back. And the Ukrainians are insisting that they would not lose territory. I don't know what it's thinking about. And the Americans believe it's either you lose Crimea and whatever you've lost right now and negotiate to hold what you've not yet lost, or you may just go on to lose everything in the next 1 year. I think the war, as I said earlier on this network, was avoidable. It's a mistake for Ukraine to have gone into this war. And I think it should accept those original positions of Russia, and that is, it remains neutral and do not have those ambitions that go against the 2010 parliamentary vote that Ukraine should stay neutral.
I understand your position clearly. Allow me to jump in quickly. Yes. We'll get back to the negotiation, the prospect of Ukraine, and even Russia's recent nuclear attack threats. But this was Zelensky's first visit to Africa since 2019, and it aimed at countering Russia's influence on the continent, where we've seen many nations remain neutral. It's hard to tell if South Africa has been neutral, though. Its neutrality has come under scrutiny, given its long-standing ties with Moscow. But how do you see this trip reflect on Ukraine's broader geopolitical strategy, especially as it relates with the U.S. under Trump's growing strained relationship with the country?
I think I believe it's a wild goose chase. Russia has a reason why it is in the same corner with South Africa. It was there for the South Africans during the apartheid fight. And so it's already also a member of BRICS alongside Russia. It's in the same place. It does support Russia. It has said that. It has given its advice earlier. And of course, Ukraine has itself to blame if you look at the South African position right from the beginning. South Africans understand, and they have told everybody, that there's nothing that will stop them from standing with Russia. Russia stood with them during the apartheid days. Russia stood with them until they achieved the end of apartheid. And they can never, ever go against those who stood with them. So if you understand the way South Africa's positions was explained, you would know nothing will ever make them move away from standing with Russia. It's a historical link, and even as of today, of course, they oppose the real reason for the war, and that is trying to bring America's weapons on the Russian border.
Indeed.
And South Africa has said it before, that they do not support the advancing of NATO eastwardly, and that's the reasons why this is. So I think Zelensky has himself to blame for not thinking properly. You've heard what the Americans said. It was them that did the 2014 coup. It was Americans who also installed Zelensky. It's the Americans who now try to move their weapons to the Russian border with Zelensky as a willing tool, and that's the direct reason for this war. So Zelensky, I believe, has himself to blame, and right now he has to simply cut his losses, accept what he has right now that remains of his country, and then and move on. But if he refuses, he will continue to lose territory. I have no doubt Russia has achieved most of his aims, and Zelensky should simply understand the reality where the things are. Going to South Africa will not help you.
Well, I guess time would tell what happens to U.S. proposal of a deal recognizing Crimea as Russian and also allowing Russia to keep occupied territories in exchange for a ceasefire. But that's our time. Global Affairs analyst Catch Nonuju, thank you for talking to us on The World Now.